Welcome back to Joe Stonner Boxing. I made a video, whenever it was, so many weeks ago. Maybe it wasn't that long ago. I make so many videos, I lose track of what I've made when. But it was about Conor Benn, and I was saying that he gets on my nerves. I can't listen to him speak because he sounds like some wannabe gangster. He seems very, very immature to me and very, very spoiled. And in the past, he's come across as being extremely entitled. Now, in the spirit of fairness, and I like to think I am a fair person, in fact, I am a fair person, I want to mention something that he said, which I thought actually showed a great deal of maturity. He was talking about Chris Eubank Jr., inevitably. As we know, he's going to fight him a week Saturday. And he was talking about the fact that Eubank Jr. and his father are estranged from each other. And Eubank Sr., during the Michael's Mile fundraiser in London yesterday was the 16th of April, 2025, he said, I'll never be in your corner. He was talking about his son. And he said, I had a few very strict words for Ben too, about his foul language and everything. But he said of his son, he said, smashing someone in the face with an egg. He said, I would never be in your corner. You're a disgrace. And this is his son he's talking about. And Eubank Senior, bearing in mind he's lost one child, Sebastian passed away way too prematurely. He's estranged from his oldest son, Junior, and the guy's going through a lot. I haven't got kids, but I imagine that, if you fall out with your own flesh and blood, it's a bad place to be. So when Conor Benn is handed this on a plate, and could quite easily have put the boot in to Eubank Jr., he was commenting on what Eubank Sr. had said yesterday. He declined to use it as a weapon to bash Eubank Jr. with. And he said, I really hope they reconcile. He said, because I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he said, me and my father are very, very close. And, both Nigel and Conor, they hang out together. They make, Conor cannot speak highly enough of his father. Nigel at times has been in tears thinking about his son and how proud he is of him. That's fantastic to see. Fantastic to see. That's the way fathers and sons should be. And for Conor to wish that on somebody who he admits he detests and wants to smash up and pummel, for him to actually be mature enough to say, I hope the Eubanks, Chris Eubanks Senior and Junior, do reconcile. That showed a lot of character, I think. And I wonder if Conor, what is he now? Is he about 29 now, something like that, 28, 29? I wonder if the trials and tribulations and the mistakes he made during that period when, he failed the drugs tests and he made a fool of himself, basically, and Eddie Hearn didn't help by talking a lot of crap too, and all the people around him just seemed to give him the worst possible advice you can have. I wonder if all of that has been a learning curve for him, and he's coming out the other side thinking, yeah, I made a fucking idiot of myself. And, I don't want to do that again. That's not me. I need to start being a bit more responsible, being a bit more accountable for my own actions. And I think his comments today about Eubank Jr. were very pertinent and very generous. I mean, he could have declined a comment. He could have said, I'm not saying he should have slagged him off, or he would have slagged him off. He might have just said, that's nothing to do with me, fuck him, but he didn't. He actually went out of his way to say, I hope they get back together again. Now, previously in press conferences, he has said to Eubank, your own father doesn't want to be in your corner, So he's kind of changed his tune a little bit. Maybe in the heat of the moment, he said, because he is a very fiery character, and he admitted this in the same interview. He said, I'm a very fiery character, but I'm not someone who throws my weight around and puts it on you. And, there is a difference between being passionate and being having that sort of emotional energy and being an uncontrollable thug. I never thought that Conor was like that. And people mature at different rates. And he was a millionaire's a multi-millionaire's son. He lived in Spain. He speaks fluent Spanish. He lived in Australia. He's listed as being from Essex. Well, his dad was from Essex, but I don't know about him. I don't know whether we can say he was from Essex. So yeah, he was spoiled as a kid, maybe. But we all mature at different rates. And one of the reasons I love Muhammad Ali so much is because if you look at the way he behaved when he was a young man, when he first became champ, and he said some really awful things about, subjects like race and individuals, the fact that he called Joe Frazier and Uncle Tom when Frazier was nothing but that. Well, it was nothing of the sort. And then as you see his life progress, he matures and he becomes wiser. And as he famously said, the man who is the same at 50 as he was at 20 has not lived. It's one of my favourite quotes from any boxer. I think it's absolutely true. And he, Muhammad Ali, was a prime example of that. We all evolve at different rates and we all make bad mistakes. I can say that if I look back on my life, and I'm 57 now, my life is full of regrets. I made lots and lots of mistakes, especially when I was a young man. But hopefully now I am a lot wiser and I'm a lot more responsible. And human nature is a funny thing to unravel, especially your own. And it takes time and effort, and it takes a lot of introspection. It takes a great deal of study about what other people might call the trouble with you. So you have to sort of park your ego at the door and assess yourself and admit to yourself that was a flaw, that's a negative, I need to change that, I need to work on that. It takes some doing, because we are by nature quite egotistical people. We don't want to admit that we've got weaknesses. We want to blag life, and to some degree you have to blag it in life to get through it, because life can be very, very tough, especially if you're from modest backgrounds. But at some point, if you want to gain wisdom, ultimately you have to take personal responsibility. And maybe Conor's doing that now. I hope so. Anyway, I don't know what you think. Comments below if you got any. I'd like to read them. And thank you very much for watching, and please like this video if you liked it and hit the subscribe button. Interesting topic, I think so anyway. Be interested to see how both fighters react after they fought, Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. And I know that there's a rematch clause, but it will be interesting to see what their reactions after they fought, whoever wins. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking forward to reading what you've got to say. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye for now.